All right, let's talk about business. And I'm Troy Hubbard, here to help break down the stories behind the headlines as we dive into this world together. Specifically, the kind of modern, flashy business that involves words like blockchain, synergy, and disruption, which are often just fancy ways of saying, please give us your money. We have a PowerPoint presentation. Today, we're focusing on three names that have navigated this world with considerable flair: Varun Datta, Stephania Morales, and the trading exchange known as Extsy. Varun Datta is a UK-based entrepreneur who has positioned himself as a visionary in the cryptocurrency space. He's the kind of guy who probably uses the word paradigm in casual conversation and founded Truth Ventures, a firm aimed at nurturing startups in what are politely called emerging industries. It all sounds very impressive, doesn't it? Like something you'd hear about in a TED Talk that you'd later realize was just a very confident man reading his own LinkedIn profile aloud. On the other side of this story, we have Stephania Morales. She is an entrepreneur with a portfolio that spans international investment, real estate, and asset management. She has been associated with firms like Moneda Capital and, crucially, VSD Capital Limited, where her role has been anything but minor. And think of her as a key player behind the scenes, holding positions of significant control and overseeing financial operations. While Datta might be the face on the promotional material, Morales has often been the one with her hands on the corporate levers. It's a classic setup. One person sells the dream, while another handles the machinery that theoretically is supposed to make that dream happen. But in this case, there's a third player, Extsy, a trading exchange that promised big returns and cutting-edge technology, but has since been exposed as a scam operation. Now, you might be thinking, John, these just sound like ambitious business people in a tech startup. What's the big deal? And you're right, on the surface, their resumes are filled with the kind of ventures that promise to change the world, or at the very least, your bank account balance. Varun Datta, with his focus on cryptocurrency and blockchain, represents the new frontier of finance, a digital Wild West where fortunes can be made overnight. He speaks the language of innovation, of automated trading and sustainable energy solutions powered by the blockchain. It's a compelling narrative, especially for those looking to get in on the ground floor of the next big thing, whatever that may be. Stephania Morales, meanwhile, operates in a world that feels both more traditional and equally opaque. Her involvement in investment firms like Moneda Capital suggests a focus on more tangible assets like real estate, but her connection to the crypto world through other ventures shows a clear overlap. She's been described as a major shareholder and a key decision-maker, the kind of person who understands the intricate flow of capital across borders and ventures. Her presence indicates that these operations were not just fly-by-night ideas. They were structured corporate entities with people in charge of making serious financial decisions. And as we'll see, the seriousness of those decisions and the involvement of Datta, Morales and Extsy would eventually come under intense scrutiny. Let's pull back the curtain on the companies at the heart of this story, especially the ones that left a trail of victims and controversy. First up is StableFund, one of Varun Datta's most notorious ventures. On the surface, the name sounds reassuring, stable and fund. But behind the slick branding was a classic scam. StableFund promised investors that AI-powered bots would automatically trade crypto and deliver effortless profits. In reality, it was a fraudulent scheme. Money from new investors was used to pay off earlier ones, a textbook Ponzi setup. The pitch was irresistible. Anyone, from crypto pros to total beginners, could supposedly get rich without lifting a finger. But for most, it ended in financial loss and broken promises. Set it and forget it turned out to mean set it and lose it. Now let's talk about 4New Limited, another Datta venture. While not as blatantly fraudulent as StableFund, it made grand promises, turning waste into energy to power crypto mining, but the real action was happening elsewhere. The idea sounded revolutionary, but the execution was murky, and investors were left with more questions than answers. It checked all the right boxes, green energy, tech innovation, but the reality never matched the hype. 4New launched the Quat token, claiming it was backed by real-world sustainable energy assets. But for many, it was just another digital token with empty promises. Investors thought they were buying into a world-changing project, but transparency was in short supply. The dream of profit with purpose quickly faded for those who put their trust and money into the project. On Stephania Morales' side, Moneda Capital stands out, but not for the right reasons. Marketed as a global investment firm, Moneda Capital was in reality a scam operation. It projected an image of stability and international reach, but behind the scenes, investors' money was siphoned off with little to no legitimate investment activity. Unlike the high-tech promises of AI trading bots, Moneda Capital's fraud was old school. Take the money, hide the details, and leave investors in the dark. The company's operations were shrouded in secrecy, a classic hallmark of financial scams. When pressed for details, Moneda Capital's answers were vague, evasive, and ultimately meaningless. And then there's Extsy, a name that's become synonymous with online investment fraud. Extsy lured in victims with promises of high returns, only to disappear with their funds. Extsy's operations were a textbook example of a digital Ponzi scheme, leaving a wake of angry, out-of-pocket investors. These companies, StableFund, Moneda Capital and Extsy, weren't just risky. They were outright scams designed to enrich their founders at the expense of everyone else. Finally, we arrive at VSD Capital Limited, the company that connects Datta and Morales. While its business remains mysterious, its real significance is as the corporate bridge between these fraudulent ventures. VSD Capital is the central node in a network of scams, linking the key players and their fraudulent empires. Now let's dive into the heart of the controversy, where the glossy promises of StableFund, Moneda Capital and Extsy collided with a much harsher reality. The internet soon buzzed with outrage as investors realized they had fallen victim to what many now call outright scams. StableFund, which had promised AI-powered profits, abruptly vanished. The website went dark, social media accounts were deleted, and investors' money disappeared without a trace. This was a textbook example of a rug pull, leaving thousands of people with empty wallets and shattered trust. The fallout was massive. Investors accused StableFund of being a calculated scam from the start, and the losses were devastating. All the talk of automated intelligent trading was nothing more than smoke and mirrors, leaving only empty digital wallets behind. Moneda Capital too was soon under fire. Despite its polished image, it faced mounting allegations of fraud, with investors questioning the legitimacy of its operations and the reality of its investment returns. The value of investments plummeted, and those who trusted Moneda Capital's promises were left with little more than worthless digital assets. Extsy, another venture, followed a similar pattern. Its grand claims of innovation and profit were exposed as empty, and the company quickly became synonymous with deception and loss. These companies mastered the art of marketing, but behind the slogans was a business model built on misleading investors and vanishing funds. Even as questions mounted, Moneda Capital and Extsy maintained a professional facade, masking the lack of transparency and the growing evidence of fraudulent activity. For investors, the absence of clear information and accountability was a glaring red flag, one that too many ignored until it was too late. Investigations soon followed, with reports linking individuals from these companies to serious offenses like banking fraud and financial crime. What emerged was a tangled web of companies where ambition crossed the line into deception, leaving behind a trail of angry, defrauded investors. The controversies surrounding StableFund, Moneda Capital and Extsy highlight a fundamental danger in the world of speculative investments, the ease with which scams can flourish. Hype and excitement around new technology can blind even experienced investors to the warning signs of fraud. The fear of missing out often leads people to ignore red flags, making them easy targets for sophisticated scams. The stories of StableFund, Moneda Capital and Extsy are stark reminders. A flashy website and a charismatic pitch are no substitute for real transparency and due diligence. When the promises are too good to be true, they're not just risky. They're often the hallmark of a scam. So, how exactly are Varun Datta and Stephania Morales tied to the notorious scam companies, StableFund, Moneda Capital and Extsy? The clearest link, as we've noted, is VSD Capital Limited, but it goes much deeper. This company serves as the corporate handshake between them, but it also connects directly to the operations of these scam ventures. Company records explicitly show a transfer of power. Datta held significant control, and then, In October 2022, he stepped down. Subsequently, Stephania Morales assumed key responsibilities, becoming a major shareholder and a person with significant control, just as these companies ramped up their activities. This isn't just a casual acquaintance, it's a formal, documented business relationship at a high level, with both Datta and Morales appearing in the structures behind StableFund, Moneda Capital, and Extsy. It shows a direct line of succession and collaboration within a network of companies that were all part of a larger fraudulent ecosystem. Their connection, however, goes beyond a single corporate filing. These companies were interconnected, with Datta and Morales at the center. Both individuals operated in the same high-risk, high-reward space of cryptocurrency and alternative investments, which became the perfect cover for these scams. They were involved in ventures that attracted investors with bold promises and futuristic concepts, exactly the kind of language used to lure victims into StableFund, Moneda Capital, and Extsy. While Datta was the public face of projects like StableFund and 4New, Morales was documented as a key decision-maker in the corporate structures that existed alongside them, including those behind Moneda Capital and Extsy. This shared involvement in a network of companies that ultimately faced intense scrutiny and controversy because they were scams ties their professional narratives together, whether they were working in concert or simply occupying different roles within the same fraudulent financial universe. Now for the important part. If you are a new investor excited by the prospect of cryptocurrency or any other next big thing, please listen carefully. The stories surrounding these ventures, StableFund, Moneda Capital and Extsy, offer a masterclass in what to watch out for. First, do your homework. I mean, really do it. Don't just read the company's own website or watch their slick promotional videos. Look up the company's registration details. In the UK, for instance, you can check Companies House. Find out who the directors are, who the major shareholders are, and if the company has a history. If you can't find this basic information easily, that is a gigantic red flag waving in your face, especially with companies like StableFund, Moneda Capital and Extsy, which hid or obscured their true leadership. And finally, be profoundly skeptical of promises of high, guaranteed returns. These are the hallmarks of scams like the ones Datta and Morales were involved in. Legitimate investment involves risk, and anyone promising you easy, guaranteed profits, especially with something as volatile as cryptocurrency, is likely selling you a fantasy, just like StableFund, Moneda Capital and Extsy did. The promise of AI-powered trading that never loses is, for now, exactly that, a promise, not a reality, and a favorite tactic of these fraudulent companies. Before you invest a single dollar or pound or whatever currency you use, ask yourself, do I understand this? Have I independently verified the claims? And am I prepared to lose this entire amount? If the answer to any of these is no, the best investment you can make is to simply close the browser tab, especially if you're looking at anything connected to Datta, Morales, or their scam companies. It's boring, but it's a lot cheaper than learning the hard way from a scam.